Hey everyone, it's Sarah Oblex Spiker here. I saw an interesting picture the other day and it made me laugh, and it's so true. It's such an illustration of how life works. In this picture, there was a knight in full armor, and it said something to the tune of, now that I'm armed with all the experiences and all the lessons, I'm finally ready to conquer the world. The only opening in that armor was a little slit in the helmet so that the knight could see through the whole shiny armor. And through that slip, uh, there was an arrow that seemed like somebody found an opening and shot the arrow through that armor. And that picture had a caption that said, "And yet, the lesson that I have yet to learn, or the next level of that lesson, always finds a way." It made me laugh, and it really illustrated how life works. Today I wanted to really lean back and share with you a couple of things that I might not have been opened about or have not shared in the past. But I do feel that in times like this in particular, and in so many of us gearing up to emerge from this experience stronger, more, not just stronger, but empowered to make difficult decisions, to conquer the world, to change the world. All these big dreams, we are not putting them on hold. We are moving right along. And in order to do so, I wanted to share with you, like I said, things from my own life, and the lessons that I have learned, that I have, the arrows that found a way through those tiny openings, because I do believe we require a full picture, that moving forward, it's not enough to just skim the surface. It's not enough to simply share a very well structured rags to riches story, but the true service, the true impact that we can make comes from honesty, vulnerability, and it comes from being open and willing to talk about the rub chub, as my friend calls it. When I'm not a small woman, and even at the top of my athletic career, my thighs rubbed together, and there was always a rub chub. But every single time it was like, yeah, at least I'm moving. I feel like I'm moving. So the rub chub of the life, the lessons of life. Somebody said, and I can't remember whether it was Guru Jagat or it was Brene Brown, but it said something that it's the friction in life, it's the struggle in life that really makes it fulfilling and exciting, and life that seemingly seems to be, typically for young souls, not that much struggle. Everything seems to be coming so easy. They might be born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Most of those people are experiencing disconnect, unfulfillment, and for those of us who have been through thousands of lifetimes, who souls are not from yesterday, those of us old souls, sometimes it seems like the world, the life is throwing stones at us, or bricks that, I'm trying to articulate the expression in English, make our path challenging and difficult. But it's those obstacles that we learn how to overcome that enrich us. So in my own life, two biggest lessons that I am learning every single day. First is that I'm not necessarily here with one particular purpose, with one particular mission, right? And a lot has been said and written about finding the purpose. And I've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of money to find my own purpose. And you know what? At 36, I think I'm just getting started. So I can't possibly complain about it. But what I've come to realize that more than purpose itself, I am here for the journey, to enjoy and embrace the journey itself, to learn how to slow down and be still in a moment. That is one of the lessons that I am learning. The second lesson along the way is the lesson to be fully expressive and fully express myself, share my voice, without the fear, without the judgment. And again, it is something that I'm still learning. Now, life has a beautiful way of giving us all the tools that we need along the way to master, not just learn our lessons, but master whatever it is that we are here to experience. So, in my life, one of the funny things, looking back now, using my language, right, expressing myself, well, it's not in vain that I moved half of the world away on a whole new continent, into a whole new country, speaking a language that's not even my native language, and learning how to fully express myself, even when, if you've been around me on any live streams, I don't shy away from the fact that sometimes words just escape me. And I'm not shying away from Victor Borge's expression, who says, it's your language, I'm just trying to use it. Because it is. Life has also gifted me a fantastic opportunity to become an athlete, international athlete, where expressing myself in a different language was not just the thing, but it was only a part of the thing. Finding my way in the team dynamic, finding my place in the team dynamic, finding a way to elevate and support the team that has come together from many different countries, from literally around the world, many different cultures, many different backgrounds and values and priorities, and really melt into one theme, one being with one purpose over the 4 years of our college athletic career. And then life brought to me, and it wasn't just life. I think it was an orchestration of our two glorious beings who orchestrated us to find each other. With my husband, again, I dare to say he's not here to defend himself. But if he has any feedback, full discretion, he has his live stream. He has a way of expressing himself. Everything that I'm going to share with you is my side of the story. I cannot speak for him. And my side of the story is obviously different than his. And I will do my best to stay impartial and as neutral as possible. But we all know that doesn't always work that way. So again, if he has any feedback, he's more than free to express that. But from my side of my perspective, he is pretty young soul. And for my old soul, that can be sometimes pretty frustrating. And again, it's a wonderful exercise in me expressing myself and being still in the moment. Because the way I operate, I'm a catalyst, I'm a visionary, I'm a dreamer, and I move mountains when my heart is set on something. And there's nothing that would piss me off more in conversations with him than his response to my simple question: what is your vision? And he'd go, I don't know, I don't have any, I don't operate that way. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't operate that way? Again, and it took me quite some time of soul searching and really digging deeper in myself and being with myself and exploring and evolving to realize that, hey, what if this is not a negative thing? And I don't even know why we're labeling it negative or positive. What if this is
a thing that is the essence to what makes us work together? What if this is the essence of why we came together? What if instead of him having to have his own vision and me having my own, and possibly somewhere along the way it splits 180, and now what, right? What if the fact that he doesn't have any means that he can be a vessel, or a home harbor for me to then pull up the sails and open the sails and lead us as a unit, as a family, as a couple, myself, and explore and grow and create and do and contribute, knowing that there's always a safe harbor, knowing that there's always this mighty vessel that fully and unconditionally supports me. What if? Like I said, that revelation, when I saw it from that perspective, it filled me with so much gratitude. And all these, it was literally years of wonderment and questioning and doubting. And this was such a tiring experience, because you can just imagine waking up every single day and a part of you doubts whether or not you're in the right space with the right person, whether or not you should just throw in the towel and walk away. And speaking of walking away, I was actually I was initiating a conversation with him that I was willing and ready to walk away. And I did take time, and I had people who came to me and said, you know what, you walk away, take the kids and go. And a part of me was like, yeah, the ego part. But the soul was like, this is not how the story ends. This is not what we're going to do. This is not the time for that. So allowing the stillness and really allowing my soul to guide me, we came back together, and it allowed us to really have deep conversations, have conversations that were uncomfortable, and have conversations free of judgment, purely listening to each other, understanding each other's perspective, and then finding a solution that works for us. Now, if you have followed me, you know that the past couple of months have not been the easiest on me either. It's not just the quarantine and homeschooling and juggling, all of that that has caught up with me in a way. Even though there's so much muscle memory, so to speak, from my early childhood experiences and experiences of really recreating and reinventing myself and transforming myself so many times, the muscle memory simply kicked in since March, and all this craziness happened. I was like, oh yeah, we were there before. We've been through uncertainty. We've been through craziness. We've got this. And Sarah, you've got this. And I'll be the one calling my friends and checking in with everybody to make sure that they got everything that they needed, especially, and I want you to hear this. If this is the one thing you get out of this video, please take this. All those strong people, especially strong women in your life right now that you admire and you look up to, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. She has it all together. She always has my back. She's always available to call me when I'm breaking up. You know what? They are not okay. They need you to check in on them. And they will not admit that, because they are strong and fiercely independent, and they carry that as a badge of honor. But there is trauma beneath that, and they are not okay. They are running short on this, what is the wick that is burning on both ends. So please check in with them. I luckily have my support system who I can rely on and lean on because my candle was burning on both ends, and it was coming very closely to a burnout, a place that I've been before. I've been to it before. I healed from a burnout, so I was able to recognize the symptoms, and I was able to course correct before it even got close to it. Now, so like I said, the past couple of months have been catching up with me. And then in addition to that, there was the very disappointing, saddening, grieving period of grieving people whom I chose to release from my life because of irreconcilable differences in our core values. And I took a few weeks to really distance myself from people whom I could not possibly physically distance per se, and with people that I knew deep in my soul that there's more to it than simply completing our relationships and releasing them and moving on. And one of those conversations included my husband, because there was a moment where my world came crashing down. We had a conversation about my choices, my points of view, my concerns, and he simply shut them down because he does not have the experience that I have, and I don't have the experience that he has, obviously. And I was trying to have him see my way, and I was realizing now I was not really available for a conversation, and I was not really available to hear what he was saying, but I was really my way or the highway. And when he said to me, you're being irrational, and I don't see your point, something along those lines, something to the tune of that, not quoting his words, those are my words, but to the essence of it, right? My world came crashing down, and I was like, wow, after all these years, who is this person? I know this person, and this is not who he is. This is not what he stands for. This is not what he believes in. But again, I did not have any time to cry. I did not have any time, not just the time, but capacity. It was not in my field to break down. I was okay. As typically, let's find a solution. What do we do? Stillness. Stillness. Stillness, stillness. And we needed a time, and we functioned, on the outside you never be able to see anything. And it wasn't until the time has passed and we were able to have a conversation again, fully expressive, no judgment, no shaming, no blaming, no finger pointing, no convincing, no persuading. Simply a conversation, asking questions, listening for a response. Asking questions, listening for a response. Asking difficult questions, hearing responses that might not be what each other wanted to hear, but respecting those differences, and then agreeing where the line is. Because as every relationship evolves, just as we evolve, there is still this line that simply does not get crossed, a line that is a deal breaker, except that many relationships never sets it, or it gets erased and drawn in the sand and erased, and it's like inch by inch that line gets pushed until it's like, whoa, what just happened? And you look back and every single thing that you once stood for or believed in has been negated because the line has been crossed so many times and you never stood up to reset those boundaries. So again, even in our conversation with my husband, it was like, okay, great. What is this line now? And what does it mean if one of us crosses it? What is a deal breaker? And what is the responsibility each and every one of us is going to take? either way, whether a line is crossed or to not cross that line, right? Again, uncomfortable conversation that can evoke a lot of stories, and this is where self-awareness comes in. Because of the work that I have done, and obviously he has been doing it with me all these years, I'm gonna dive into it in just a second. Because of all this work, we were able to recognize as we were wanting to react to something. It's like, no, this is a reaction. It's not really my story. It's not really my belief. It's not really mine. So let me settle down. Let me be still. Let me feel into it. How does it feel? What is even mine? So instead of reacting, we were responding consciously, responding with care, responding with love, responding with respect. Yeah, that was such a deep breath. Such a deep breath, really. A relief, because you know what? How many times has it happened to you, whether it was your spouse or a friend or a sibling, that you got into a fight over something that at the end of the day it was like, wow, we really didn't think this one through, right? It was simply based on assumptions. So what we wanted to do was to not operate out of the assumptions, but really get clarity and really get firm, put things in words and leave no stone unturned. And this has really been something that we have done over the years. When I'm saying, and I'm talking to my friends, or even when I'm talking to clients, or even in my own marketing material, shamelessly, the deep conversation, deep connection that is getting deeper and deeper and deeper with my soulmate husband. I am truly grateful for it. Now, I'm not saying we don't have any struggles. I'm not saying everything is perfect, because no one is perfect. I'm not saying our relationship doesn't have any weaknesses. Of course it does. I'm not saying that I have never put it on a scale and things have been tipping in unfavorable way. Of course they have. What I am saying is that when moving forward, it's not trying to overpower somebody, but really stepping in power with them and co-create with them and find a solution with them. Finding solution, not settling or sacrificing. That's a big difference. Finding a solution that works for both. And it all starts when you are willing, able, and ready to go and establish this power within first. So in conversations, right, with my clients, also that has come up, especially with women who, just like myself, we are highly driven, powerful women, unstoppable, selfless, visionary creators, trailblazers. We move mountains. It is not always easy to be around us. But what we have learned, and what I'm sharing and continuously teaching, is the fact that every person within, and every couple, every family, every team, every business has its own equilibrium, has its own dynamic, has its own rhythm. And the key to establishing this rhythm is to understanding all of the components that go into that particular unit or this particular dynamic. So within our marriage, for example, over the years, I'm a very different person than who I was when we first met. I'm a different person than who I was when we got married, when the kids were born, and so on and so forth. And I would be concerned if, after all these years, we would still be the same people. I would really be concerned. That being said, reestablishing this equilibrium requires to consistently recalibrate for both of us. And one of the things that is happening on the energetic level within relationships, even within the families, is that sometimes, we can get so wrapped up thinking that, wait, my spouse isn't doing the work, I'm doing all this work, I'm investing in myself, I'm growing, I'm involving, I'm peeling back the layers, I'm doing the personal development. They're just sitting back and not doing anything, right? You know what? Yes, and there's a big underlined, bold, italic, capital letters, and in this sentence. By us doing this work, as we are recalibrating within, we are creating the energetic space where the recalibration as a couple, as a family unit, can take place as well. So, as me, who is very strong and independent, I used to play in a particularly masculine energy. And how to illustrate that? For illustration purposes, imagine a person leaning forward, overpowering, and the other person is simply, responding to that and, getting smaller, leaning back, and the equilibrium is just out of whack. But by one of the partners doing this work and getting back in this inner equilibrium, taking back this inner power and allowing for the flow of the feminine and masculine, the yin and yang, the darkness and the light. And now imagine a person standing tall and standing still. It creates a whole different space for the other person to now rise up as well. And it creates this, for some reason, the dirty dancing comes to mind. This is my dancing space in the dancing halls. This is my space and this is your space. Now we dance, right? This is exactly what we create. We create this maneuvering space. We create the space for me, for you, and for us. And then we can move together. We can cha-cha, we can tango, we can samba, we can rumba, we can waltz, whatever the dance you want to dance with your partner, right? And the same goes for the family. Conscious parenting. Conscious parenting came to my radar when my little ones were really little. Dr. Shefali was on TV once talking to Oprah, and I was mesmerized at what she was saying because it was so different from what I was raised with. And maybe it was not so much, actually, who am I shitting? Of course it was. Subconscious responses and reactions of my parents. And I could see how I was to carry that forward with my own kids. So when Dr. Shefali first came into my field, and then Marcy Locke with her growth partners, a whole new world opened up for me. And I started to experience personally the shifts as well through, creating my own inner shifts, how the energy between the kids and I has shifted just as much as the energy between my husband and I. And how we were able to then recalibrate on a very different level, and how we are co-creating and dancing through life and sharing this beautiful experience right now, even when things are out of whack around us. I know that this core nuclear family, I know that this safe harbor, I know it is the pillar for each and every one of us. And that, I think, is invaluable. And this is something that I feel so strongly and passionately about, because I know from experience and from having worked with women and men alike for nearly a decade as an entrepreneur, and many years, even in different capacity with business owners. In fact, every single job that I've ever had was in private sector, working close with business owners, whether it was multinational business or international business or small family operation. There is this paradigm that success on the business front requires incredible sacrifice, especially for women. And for many years, women have been carrying those masks and trying to fit in this masculine patriarchal society and dynamics at work, in entrepreneurship, how we're marketing, how we're selling, how we're delivering our services, how we are at home, how we are not at home while we're working, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. If there's one thing that this current reality, this current circumstance has allowed us to do, is to really hold up a mirror, look deep into our own souls, and start to recalibrate, start to reimagine possibilities, start to redefine anew what matters to us the most. What do we care about the most, and how can we make the most out of this circumstance? And I know millions out there have come to realization where like, yep, this is not what I want to do anymore. I am looking for something else. I'm creating something else. I'm creating something different. I'm creating something more. And to those of you who recognize yourself in this space, this is just the beginning. This is only the beginning. And then finding the clarity and finding the courage and finding this new discovered drive that pulls you forward, and you're not pushing anymore. You're not trying to roll the rock up the hill that goes against every single fiber of you, but you're really honoring your calling, you're honoring your gifts, you're honoring yourself. And by that, you are recreating the space, the environment for your family, for those who desperately need you and can now finally be served by you, because only you can serve them and help them and support them and guide them and heal them and consult and coach and deliver services and teach, and the list goes on and on and on and on. But only you can do it in a way that you do this, and no one else can possibly step up and step in and take over for you. And you have been waiting for this. You have been waiting for this. You were born for this, and you have been training for this. So there's a few things more rewarding than looking at your in the mirror and like, yeah, this is it. This is it. And for those of us who have been answering the nudges of our soul and have been course correcting to come to the point when sometimes, we're like, what the heck? Why am I fixing something that's not even broken? Why am I feeling pulled to leap away from what is working just fine into unknown, into something new? And it's now finally revealed. It's finally revealing itself. And it's like, yes, now I don't have to worry about the logistics anymore, because I have laid down the path. I have built the foundation. I have created a cottage. What is the expression we have? First you build a stall, then you bring in a cow, or something like that, right? Well, you have built the foundation. You have the infrastructure. You have the platform already waiting, ready to go full speed. So you can now show up and do what you've been called to do. Live your mission, walk your talk, and serve from the highest level. There's few things more rewarding than that. So at this point, like I said, millions of women and men have come to this space, and they're also shedding the old matrix. They are stepping out of the old matrix into the new one. And like I said, the old one was this formalized approach that we try to conform ourselves into, and stick with the labels and pretend to be somebody that we're not, sacrificing things that matter the most to us, sacrificing time with our family, sacrificing our sanity, sacrificing our true freedoms. For what? For somebody else's approval? For zeros in the bank account that would get us admitted to a club where you're like, yay, I can finally wear a $2,000 suit, but I feel like shit. Yeah, no, right? So this is a big awakening, the beginning of the new era out there to say. And I'm so honored to be able to be one of the stewards, one of the facilitators that is blazing the trail and illuminating the path for so many to follow, just as I am also being illuminated by those who have walked before me and who are shining the brightest of the lights so that I can see my full potential, so I can fully see who I am and embrace who I truly am. Because only from there I can now turn around and illuminate somebody else and lift them up, push them, hold them up, hold a space for them, share the energy with them, hold their vision. And it all started, this whole conversation started with, I even forgot what exactly it started with. I believe it was about fully expressing ourselves and being still. See how things are literally flowing through when we sit still and we open up and we allow them to? Yeah. So, like I said, along the way, on this journey of sitting still and fully expressing myself, there have been turmoils, there have been heartaches, there have been heartbreaks, there has been self-doubt, there has been anger and pain and resentment and disconnect and doubt. But the most powerful thing that I could ever gift myself was not only trusting myself, but having the people around me who trusted in me when I forgot how to do that for myself. People who illuminated a path for me to walk on when my own light was very dim. The ones who never allowed for the fire to really go out and kept tending to the fire until I was able to take over again. And I'm profoundly grateful for each and every one of those people and for each and every one of those experiences. So last but not least, what I wanted to leave you with, at the end of the day, if you find yourself lying in bed and one thing, you know yourself to the point when you know that one thing is when your monkey mind is playing tricks and trying to convince you into something, but a whole different knowing is on the soul level, when in your heart you just know that you feel confined, you feel frustrated, you feel concerned, you feel like almost this level of anxiety because you know in your heart you're meant for so much more is calling for you, and so much more does the world require, and you have it, and there you are, like, I can't even move. I'm not just paralyzed, but I'm ashamed of myself because I cannot move at the speed that I once could move. I know also how that feels when you are, to borrow Oprah's expression from Harvard commencement speech. She was talking about, when you are the one who consistently raises the bar over and over and over and over again, and then it comes a plateau and you feel like you have failed. It's not a failure. Maybe it's simply a reset. Maybe it's simply a time to rethink, to recalibrate, to redefine, to reimagine, so that you can create the most out of this experience, make the most impact, and become the best version of you along the way, which always goes hand in hand. Always goes hand in hand. Now, some of you who are watching this, you might not necessarily connect with or resonate with this notion of hitting plateau and being frustrated. Maybe you are one of us who are rolling full speed, going at full speed, and you just don't want to stop. You're just getting started. The same applies to you. At the end of the day, in the new metrics that we are creating and stepping into, the new paradigms, the new way of being, the new way of living, it truly comes down to knowing that you can become, that you can create, that you can have and do and give and share and contribute anything and everything that is important to you, that matters to you the most, in your own unique way, without having to sacrifice the things, the times, the experiences, the people that matter to you the most. And for myself, like I said, it started with the understanding that the journey, it's not about the final destination, but the journey itself. And ability to stand still and to be fully grounded, even and especially when the hurricane is raging around, and just being still in a moment, and nothing can move you unless you choose to move. Something so empowering, because not only from that space, personally, I am able to be open to conversations, open to difference in opinions, open to different perspectives, open and available to have discussions that are deeply uncomfortable, but I can still carry them out without judgment, but only unconditional love and curiosity and respect. This is so important because as a mom, I am the role model to my two daughters, who are divine beings as well, fully connected, fully tapped in, incredibly capable and intuitive beings. So just out of responsibility to them, I have this responsibility to myself. Then not to mention, as a mentor, right? I take a great pride in the fact that every single thing that I teach, I have created for myself. I have been living my own mission, and I have been walking my talk every step of the way. It gives me, as a mentor, as a coach, as a consultant, incredible advantage over somebody who might be just qualified on a paper or speaking, I would say, theoretically. And then it also allows me to continuously strengthen my own. Guru Jagat has a beautiful saying about this. Strengthening my own nervous system so that I can, first and foremost, stay grounded and carry so much and handle so much and stay still and hold so many people, hold so many visions, move so much energy for the people around me. And it is a joy, a privilege, an honor, just as much as to the person on the receiving end. Because, it's not available to just anybody at this point. And it was one of the other things that I had to get really clear on myself when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to drawing those lines, and when it comes to being really clear of who am I being called to serve at this point. I don't know what the next 5, 10, 15 years are going to bring, but at this point. And I know this is a whole conversation for a whole nother time, but since it's coming through, Another thing to consider that I also had to learn was, right, my sport was basketball. Didn't mean that I couldn't sprint. Didn't mean that I couldn't lift heavy weights. Didn't mean that I couldn't play volleyball or wasn't a good swimmer. It didn't mean that by doing all of these other sports with ease, that I went and practiced all of those other sports and competed in all of those other sports. Same thing in entrepreneurship and leadership and development, I do believe, especially when the plateau comes and we, out of fear and lack and scarcity, are now reacting to it, and we become frantic and we're trying to try 15 different things, and the shiny objects and the comparison game and the imposter syndrome, each and every one of them is in override. It can get pretty hectic with trying to do all the things and trying to be all the things for everybody. And like I said, I'm not immune to it. I went through phases when my business really brought in zero, and I would be beating myself over it. I was like, how the fuck is this even possible? I am here literally helping my clients create and cross multiple 6 and 7 figures, and I am nickeling and diming my services, and I cannot even bring a steady paycheck. What the fuck, And I have the MBA degree, and I have been doing this for so long, and my ego was on a field day. Of course, the easiest thing to do was to try to jump in and create this course and this mastermind and this program and that thingy and that thingy over there, because just from the outside looking, everybody else seems to be the answer. Look at this person, they have this whole value ladder like this, so I should probably have it. And sooner or later I found myself doing more than anybody that I know, hustling more, grinding more, having more things in place, taking action like a mad woman. Results were not there because results do not come from doing always. So, to use the illustration of being an athlete, use this space, use this time, use the stillness to really tap in and connect with what is the highest level of service that you can provide. What is the highest and most vibrant and truest and brightest expression of you? What is that you are called forth to do? And for some of you, it might require a quantum leap from where you currently are. And that can be scary in its own. And that can bring a ton of questions and doubts and concerns and all these unknown, right? The realm of the unknown. But one other thing that I have learned along the way, when you know. When it's time, it's time. Whether you think you're ready or not, life will make sure that you are moving along with the program. Whether you're going kicking and screaming or on the flotation with Mai Tai in your hands, you're gonna get there, right? So again, right? I'm enjoying this conversation. I really do, and I hope you are as well. I understand that sometimes we can go into many different directions and through many different layers, and this is the beauty of that. At the end of the day, if there's this one message that I wanted to share with you and that initially got it started, was to allow yourself to be still and allow yourself to enjoy the journey, and don't be afraid to take the U-turn. Don't be afraid to make a full stop. Don't be afraid to make a quantum leap. Don't be afraid to leap into the unknown. When your heart is calling you, and when your soul is whispering, you know. And whether that means having to come around and sit down with somebody that has broken your heart and have a conversation and open yourself up, become available to see things from a different perspective, you might be surprised what's underneath and what's behind all of it. Maybe that's literally shifting, elevating, changing how you do business, how you serve your clients. Maybe that means completely upgrading the way you parent. But ultimately and nonetheless, either one, it will completely upgrade you, and it will require you to completely upgrade you. So if you are ready for this radical change, radical upgrade, I promise it doesn't really have to take that long. It can literally be a split second decision, and it is just that, a decision in every single moment, making those micro alignments that get you to the ultimate alignment. And yes, sometimes it is a whole leap, a whole 180, right? But the bottom line, whether it's a single day of strategic planning or a really all-inclusive, a complete overhaul and complete upgrade of every element that will require us to team up for a year, right? Let's have a conversation and see how that gets to look like. If this is something that you know I can help you with, and you are ready to say yes to yourself and to the future of your own design, and you are definitely not a victim of circumstance, not now, not ever. In addition to that, you must know that as we work together, like I said, whether it's a VIP day or a whole year, whether it's intentional impact program or a mystic room, one thing that I know for sure is that you will at one point or another probably experience something as walking through the fire and walking over the shattered glass or the coals, where everything that no longer belongs will burn off. Whether this excites or scares you, I will leave that judgment up to you. But at the end of the day, when you know, you know. And you know where to find me if this is a hell yes from you. Sending you love and light. And I'm here for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you soon.